I'm going to show you how to trim a bowl. So I have a bowl here that's leather hard, upside down. Inside is like that. And the first thing that you need to do is to check the thickness of the bottom. And you have to kind of assess how much clay there is to trim off. The goal of trimming is to make the pot even everywhere, the same thickness that you have on the side of the bowl. Hopefully will be everywhere on the bottom, in the side of the bottom. A lot of times you have clay, a lot of clay on the corner, like from here to here. And at the bottom, depending on how you threw it, you might have room to make a tall foot or just not much clay at all. So in that case, you would make it just even and flat. So I'm gonna put this back here. I usually make my bowls so that I don't have too much to trim. So it's all part of knowing how much weight that takes to make a certain type of bowl, and then throwing it the certain way so that the trimming also is part of the picture when you're forming a pot. Okay, so this is a bisque fired bowl, and it's already trimmed and cut in half. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Kind of a shallow indentation here to make a foot. Kind of comes out straight. And I have just enough clay to do that. Okay. So the first thing you do is tap into center. So you're looking at about here at 12 o'clock. A lot of times the very top of the pot, or the bottom when it's right side up, is uneven because you detached it from the bat after you threw it. So I usually look at somewhere a little bit down below that's smoother. Tap with the left hand. So if you can't tell, you can use a needle tool and see if you have even space everywhere. This one looks pretty good. Sometimes you can't really tell even after this. I usually just trust my eyes. But say if it's not very centered. then you get a line like this. So this part is sticking out further than this part. And I just erase it and keep tapping. Some people say, you know, when do you tap? And it's just more important to just work on the strength that you tap. Like at first you tap a little bit heavily, and then as it gets closer you tap more lightly, and sometimes it goes in and out, but your eyes get used to the certain this particular bottom, I guess, and then you just have to pick the best center. This one is actually kind of hard to see. You just know it when it zeroes in. Sometimes you do it with a couple of shots, and sometimes, like this one, takes just a little longer. Okay, so now I'm ready to secure it. Take just a little bit of clay. Make a coil, and then hold it down so that it doesn't move, and make a pea pod on the right side, because that's you have the best angle there. So notice I turn the wheel around so that I'm always securing it on the right side. You know, some people try to secure it, say like right here on this angle. You can see it's not as secure, and it pushes sort of a little too far. Or you can, you try to do this, it's just the wrong angle. So do it on the right side. Okay. You have a trimming tool like this one and like this one in your kit. This is for a bigger pot. This is for a smaller pot for the most part. This edge, the narrower edge, is basically the same as the angular edge of this tool. And the loopy side, the wider loop, those are equal. Okay, so if you're using this this side with a larger tool, you would need this larger looping side with the smaller tool. Okay, I'm gonna use the bigger tool. Okay, elbows down. I got a tool in my right hand and left hand kind of securing it at the same time. You don't want to do this. You want to hold it secure because you're gonna let the pot come to the blade. You want to be steady. So the first thing I do is to define the edge of the outer rim, the outer diameter of my foot. And wherever you have to define a sharper angle, that's where this sharper edge will point to. See, I just flipped it so that the sharper edge, narrower edge, will point to this place where the sidewall meets the top of the foot, right side up. Okay, so that's about all I need to do there for now. Just cut the little corner of the edge there. Okay, and now I'm gonna define the inner diameter of the foot. This is kind of a tricky angle. I'm holding the tool. I'm just making a groove using this narrower end. Well, runaway truck. Okay. So if I were using this tool, I would probably be using the triangular side to define the inner edge of the inner diameter of the foot ring. And I'm being kind of conservative here. I'm starting wide. And basically what I'm trying to do is not touch this right here, because I don't have that much clay to trim, or I don't have that much clay to begin with. I need to be very efficient and not lose this height in order to make a foot like this. Right, and maybe you have a lot more clay on the bottom, then you have a little more room to, you know, you'd have to carve out more clay to begin with, or just have a very deep foot. Okay, so now I'm gonna use a wider loop side of the tool, and watch how I'm holding it, and then being very steady. I'm taking out the clay inside of the inner rim of the foot, so that there's a recessed area, and that's what makes the foot taller than the inside of the foot. Okay, there's always more clay towards the edge of towards the foot. There's more clay, like right here, than right in the center, because the bowl is basically a form that is lowest on the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna trim more right here than right in the center. And then when I go towards the foot, I'm using the narrower end of the tool. When I go towards the center, I'm using more the larger loop. And I can clean up a little more here. The center also tends to be softer, so you have to be kind of careful. putting a lot of pressure on it. Try to be lighter on the center part. Just gathering clay with the fingers, just collecting them. Works better than trying to blow the clay away, making dust and inhaling it. So as you define the foot more and more, I end up making it a little bit narrower. And that's how I like it. But that's also why I start the foot to be a little bit wider. Like right this space is what I'm talking about. Okay, now I'm gonna work on the outer rim just a little more, make him come closer. Because now I know I'm not gonna lose this foot. Cutting the edge off. So this is a danger spot if you go too far. You have to know the shape of your pot on the inside to kind of have a sense of how far to go. What is even wall thickness everywhere when you make this kind of foot. But you can see that right here can get thin. Don't have that much clay there. That's what it sounds like. And I'm gonna make that, define the edge, inner edge of the foot a little more. This spot didn't have that much clay to trim off. Barely cutting any clay off the very top, but I am smoothing it. You don't want there to be bumpy, because that's how this pot's gonna sit. Right side up. Trimming is one of those things that you can get obsessed about. and you kind of lose track of the thickness that you have. If you go too far, you'll cut through, so you do have to keep that in mind. One thing you do want to make sure is that this height here is higher than the center. Because if this is higher, it would be, it would kind of spin like a top, right side up. And that wouldn't be a very nice thing when you're eating something out of it. Okay, so this is about done. So if this one kind of went down a little bit right here, but you can always push it down when you put it right side up. So don't worry about that. If your pot has a give, ever stop right there and don't touch where it's kind of going down, because that's how you go down even further. Okay, so a lot of this carving process is defining the negative space to create what you want to have, like this foot. You know, by defining this space down here and this space down here, basically that's what creates this foot. All right, so when you think you're done, here's my blankie. Where's my blankie? Right here. I need a little bit of water. Okay, like pretend this is wet, and you're gonna smooth out. Kind of doing a pretty good job, even though it's not exactly wet. Blankie's amazing. Okay, and you're gonna put your signature about right here. Don't do it on the center, because that's the soft, thin space. I'm gonna turn it right side up. I'm using the bat to turn it right side up because this is a fairly wide rim bowl. And see, I can push down just a center a little bit because I know it went down just a little bit. Okay. That's it.